Welcome to another episode of Message from Mom, where we're busting the myth that mothers-in-law aren't necessarily monsters-in-law. And my co-hosts are laughing at that because they happen to be my daughters-in-law. So I'm going to throw you off this week. Well, now I let the cat out of the bag, but yeah. Chelsea, to the right of me is Chelsea. I said I was going to do that one day.
Hi, I'm Chelsea. I'm married to Beth's middle son, Andrew.
And Kelly to the left of me.
And I am Kelly. I'm married to Beth's oldest son, Alex.
And I love this topic because I'm really big on health and nutrition. And the older I get, the more I'm on board with that. So we're just going to talk. It's going to be just kind of a round table. Chelsea's 34. I'm 66. Kelly is 47. And just our thoughts and takes on health, nutrition, and how to take that along with us on this journey of aging. Because if we woke up today, guess what? We're all one day older. So, but before we do that, let's raise our glass and a toast because we know you don't have to be a blood relative to love your relative. So cheers, ladies.
Cheers.
There we go.
Cheers.
Cheers.
All right.
And my message from Mom this week is very, very short, but I will just impress on you that the sooner you start with your health and nutrition and exercise, the better it is. Mm-hmm. And I just look back to my mom, and she was never, I was going to say a worker outer. She was never an exerciser. She never really focused on that part of her life. I mean, she was a golfer. She did things like that, but she never physically went off to the gym or lifted weights, any of that. And she had a terrible fall when she was about 70, 71 and injured her ankle. And she never was the same after that. And if you do any type of research about aging, falls can be very detrimental. Yeah. And that can truly set you on just a downward spiral. And it really did my mom. And I'm very blessed with the fact that when Jane Fonda burst on the scene in, I think it was 1980, I mean, she caught my attention. So exercise has really been on my agenda and has been part of my life since then, since I started feeling the burn with Jane and her VHS tape and the cute little leotard that tights that really set off a whole fashion statement. But exercise has been part of my life for most of my life, but I will say nutrition has not been. And that is something that I've really consciously changed over the past few years. But we'll talk about that. But my hope is that with this podcast, or if you're watching over on YouTube, you will understand that it's better to start early, but it's never too late. Just like with anything in your life, it is never too late to change your trajectory, to change your health, to really be thoughtful and mindful of what you're eating and exercise. And actually, because of social media, there are a lot of accounts out there that really document how they have changed their lives and for the better. So anyway, so we will be talking about our takes really of health and nutrition at different stages of our life. So ladies, what is your routine and thoughts on the importance of exercise? Because it's truly different than nutrition, even though they go hand in hand. But so Kelly, what's your routine and thoughts about exercise?
Well, my feelings about exercise have kind of gone up and down over the years. Sometimes I'm very motivated to do it. Sometimes I'm not. And I really have to force myself, which, you know, it's kind of a mind over matter thing in that situation. But I do understand the importance of it. And I think for me personally, it's more about mobility, stability. And so for me, that is a lot of yoga and it's a lot of weightlifting. And then I maybe do cardio like once a week. So I really do focus on weight training for stability and just to have good, strong muscles and also for osteoporosis, because I do know that weightlifting is a good salve against that. And my mom actually has osteoporosis, and at any point in your life after maturity, taking calcium isn't really going to benefit you as well as weight training will to make strong bones. So that's really important to me. And then, like I said, the stability thing too. I do a lot of yoga and balancing types of exercises and holding balancing poses for long periods of time to really kind of hone in on the stability.
Which will help prevent falls.
For sure.
Even at this point of your life, but truly
sure.
later on in your life as well. So very important.
And then also the mobility aspect of that. So yoga helps with that. But then I also really focus a lot on stretching. So even if I don't do a workout, like some days I just can't, like for whatever reason, can't get the motivation to do an actual workout, I'll at least do 15 minutes of stretching because at least then I'm, you know, staying mobile. And I think that that's a really big aspect of staying healthy as I age.
And Chelsea, so if people don't know this, you were a dancer for many years, which is a great form of exercise. So you had that built into your schedule all through your teenagers. I think you started when you were 10, right?
Well, even before when I was 10, I did gymnastics since I was 4. So I did gymnastics from 4 to 10, and then I broke my arm and had to have 3 surgeries on my arm. And basically the orthopedic doctor was like, she's
Ixnay on the
she will no longer. And I had this, I was like, I'm going to be an Olympic gymnast. And, you know, here I am 5'5" and, you know, teeny tiny. I was not built like a gymnast at all. But
the older ones like Nadia Comaneci or Corbett.
But my mom always had me in an activity. And even after I broke my arm, I remember for, you know, the first 3 months I had the cast on. And then as soon as I was able to gain mobility back in my arm and I was healed and, you know, the doctor gave us the go ahead, my mom signed me up for dance. And I remember going, I don't want to do dance. I was like, this is so boring. And so the entire first year of dance, I remember I'm the only one that had all of my splits because they would basically force us to do splits in gymnastics. No one else in my dance class had splits. So I just remember thinking, okay, this is just so boring. And then we finally got to the performance part of it. And it was so fun. But yeah, dance was, I mean, we did conditioning and all sorts of things. And now,
it's very rigorous.
Yeah. I mean, even just doing the dance itself, you know, is a lot of cardio, but we'd have conditioning classes and we'd have stretching classes. And then we obviously had specific classes for each style. So, you know, tap and jazz. And I mean, I vividly remember when I was, maybe like 14 and I had a duet with one of my best friends and our dance instructor, and it was like a jazz duet, and she would make us do the dance over and over and over again to the point where we would almost throw up because we were so we're like, okay, are we done? But now I do so I teach Pure Barre 1 morning a week currently, and that's basically what I do. We have 4 different styles of classes. So we have a classic class, which is kind of a like a toning class. I would say it's kind of like Pilates on steroids a little bit. We have an empower class, which is our cardio class. We have a define class, which is strength training, where we use heavier weights, like the 15-pound weights, you know, 10, 12-pound weights. I haven't quite gotten to the 20-pound, but we do have them. And then we have a line, which is stretching. So it balanced stretching. So that's kind of a full, you know, array of it kind of.
Just right there. Pure Barre.
So
how many days a week would you say you work out?
Oh, well, I teach one of the days and I teach 3 classes back to back. So that's kind of a workout in itself because I have to physically actually do some of the exercises.
And then do you walk around the class and then?
I walk around and correct. Yeah. And besides that, I try to go at least 3 times a week on top of that. And then I also just recently got a reformer machine that I have at home that I've been doing that. So I try to go 3 times a week. And then on the days that I don't go, I'll do the reformer machine at home and I'll do that for at least like 45 minutes.
That was one of your new and noteworthies. A few segments ago.
So I'm still
liking it.
I'm liking it. I'm still learning it though. And I'm not, I mean, I don't claim to be, I'm not a reformer Pilates teacher. I'm still learning the new things that you can do on it.
So do you have an app where you take like a class from an app, or are you teaching yourself?
A little bit of both. One of my friends actually does teach reformer Pilates classes. And so she sent me this one girl. I don't remember the name of her, but she sent me her YouTube account. And so I've been kind of following along with her. It's like the holistic movement or something, or holistic Pilates. So I follow along with her. And then sometimes I just kind of make it. I mean, with my master's in dance education and also teaching Pure Barre, it's pretty easy for me to like, I'm like, okay, this is going to work my abs. You know?
Yeah.
Right. So, well, it's never been easier to work out at home. And Kelly, I think you work out at home, don't you?
Exclusively, yeah.
So how do you do that? With an app or?
Yeah, I actually, so we got a Peloton bike a number of years ago, and then my husband bought a tread. But with buying the bike, we got the monthly membership or whatever. Right. And so I take all of my strength training and yoga classes and stretching, all of that stuff through the Peloton app, which I really like because I can have the app on my Apple TV, so I can do it inside. Because it's been so hot that I really don't want to go ride the bike out in the garage, which is not air conditioned or anything. So when it's really hot or very cold, I keep all of my exercising indoors. But I just learned over the years that over many years that there's nothing that kills my lack of motivation to work out more than having to like put on clothes and go to a gym.
Really?
Like to get in the car, or when I lived in San Francisco, I was a member at the JCC, which was only like 4 blocks from my apartment. And I would make myself walk up there every single day. Yeah, I would make myself walk up there or run up there or whatever. But there's nothing that will kill my motivation more than having to get in the car and go. Like I can
interesting.
fit it into my day so much more easily. Then I'm so much more apt to do it and stick to it if I can just go to my bedroom and do it.
You're highly motivated, because I do think you have to be highly motivated to work out.
Yeah, to do it at home.
Well,
even though it's never been easier, we have all of these apps now and all of these instructors.
And if you
see, but I'm the opposite in the way that, like, for me personally, I feel like you have to be highly motivated to get in the car with your gym bag and go to a place. Like for me, that's high motivation. For me to do it at home, where I can just go into my bedroom, click on the app, roll out my mat, grab my weights, that to me, and to sign on for like a 20 or 30-minute session, and then just continue on with the rest of my day without skipping a beat. Like to me, that's like low motive. Like that's the answer to being.
But you have to motivate yourself doing the workout though.
You're all by yourself.
Yeah, but you know what? I will say that those Peloton classes are very good. Like I've locked onto a few instructors for different things that I really like, and so I tune into their classes specifically. And so yeah, I suppose that does take. Like I don't need. I think it just depends on what kind of person you are, what your personality is like. But I don't need to be in a class to get the motivation to do.
Yeah, that's what I need to be in a class. Because I feel like at home, like I have been enjoying the reformer machine, and like obviously I have to do that at home. But I need to be in a class because I feel like I get competitive when I'm in a class. So if we're holding into something, I'm like, okay, I'm not coming out of it because I can't be the only person.
Yeah.
Well, and two, everyone knows that I'm an instructor. So when I go, if I come out of things and they're like, she's a teacher.
Right.
And a lot of people will watch me, just to like perform and stuff.
Right.
And so I'm aware of that. And two, I think just like with the teacher walking around and not like they don't yell at you, but just
keep you on your toes.
Keep you on your toes.
They do.
So I think because Andrew actually, he works out at home
exclusively,
and he actually is very much like you. He does not like going to the gym. He only likes working out at home. And I will say, I mean, he works out really hard at home. I mean, he'll be down there like grunting to get the weights up. I'm like, some of his grunts are so extreme that I'm like, is he about to break in half?
Yeah. Don't give himself a hernia.
So, I mean, I'll give him that because that does take a lot of motivation.
I have a hybrid schedule. I mostly go off to classes. So I'm just like you, Kelly. So, and especially as I've aged, I really understand the importance of strength training. You need that. You need weights in your life, it's your best friend. I would pick that any day over cardio. And I think most people would agree with that
Yeah.
these days too. It used to be the opposite, but
Yeah.
it's completely flipped.
Yeah.
And then also mobility and agility are very important to me. So I really focus on that. But I do like cardio as well. I go off to Pilates 4 days a week, or I try to, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. And I'll tell you what's motivating is I get charged $22 if I don't show up for class. So that's a motivator right there.
Well, and you're paying for it too. So on top of already paying your monthly membership.
I know. I think that's a little outrageous, I have to say. And that just really started in the past like year or so. And you have to cancel 12 hours ahead of time, which is if you have an 8 o'clock class, you don't necessarily know.
These are the kind of restrictions that I just can't get on board with.
It's a tough pill to swallow, I have to say, because I've eaten $22 here and there because something unavoidable has come up in the morning. But I love Pilates. It's so great because it's really strength training as well as agility, mobility, and it's just been one of the biggest blessings in my life. I absolutely love it. And I will again just reiterate, it's never too late to start a workout program. But recently we've had, I think she's in her 70s, and she is familiar with Pilates, but she's struggling with the reformer.
It's hard.
And it can be scary too, because you're doing some things, you're asking your body to do a lot of things that's not intuitive.
Yeah.
So, and especially like if the springs are light, and so that reformer can really slip on you. So I've seen her, I've watched her a couple of times, and I'm like, hang in there, you're going to do it. You're in the right place.
Yeah.
But I can also see she's battling a little bit of fear and making her body do things that it's not familiar with. So the sooner you really get this into your life, the better. But I also go off to Orange Theory, and I used to do just a regular Orange Theory, so it was cardio and strength and all of that. But now they have specific classes just for strength training, which I love. So I can just go off at least once or twice a week. So I do the full body. You can split it up into upper body, lower body, but I just like the whole session. So I go off. So for sure, I know that I have one strength training class in, but I really come along. And now I add, because I also have a Peloton bike, so that's one way that I'll get my cardio. And I love spin class. I took spin class for years and years and years, and
could not be me.
I know. I love a good spin class. If you have a good instructor, that's what I like about Peloton, because you can pick and choose. Because not all
there's so many
you're going to vibe with.
There's so many.
So many, and that really is a very important part of spin, is who your instructor is.
Well, I to be honest with you, like spin class was never for me, and the Peloton bike, when Alex wanted to buy one, I was like, I'm not into that at all. But I realized I kind of had to be, because I ran track all through junior high school and did really well in it and really liked it. And then they do that scoliosis check when you're in 7th grade, I think. And they told me that that I might have scoliosis, and I went to the doctor. I didn't have scoliosis, but I did have a condition that makes running and that type of thing probably not the best form of exercise.
Hard on your joints, I'm telling you, and
It's
especially as you age, it's really hard on your joints.
Yeah,
it is.
So I had gotten into my 30s and moved back to San Francisco, and I had a friend who was like, hey, do you want to run with me? And I kind of knew that it was probably not the best idea, but I was anxious to do something physical like that again. So I started training with her and at the gym and everything. And then she and I it was more of like a girlfriend's fun thing to do. Like we weren't being super competitive about it or anything like that, but we would sign up to do 5Ks all around the state of California. So she and I would road trip together and spend a night or two. We did the Monterey one a bunch. And so we would do these races, and it was like so much fun because I was actually doing really well. Like I would come in the top 5 of my age group, every race. So it was really motivating, and it was super fun. Loved it. And then after doing that for about 2 years, I realized like my body can't take this. My back.
It's hard on your body.
It is.
So I realized I had to completely,
Mhm.
any kind of plyometric exercise, which I used to actually really enjoy doing at the gym, any kind of running, anything high impact, I had to completely
Yeah.
stop.
Mhm.
And so that then the bike actually comes into play, and it
Yeah.
is such an
It's
easy,
a great
low
cardio
impact
workout.
way to get what you need.
Yeah.
That,
So
that's why I like it.
I really like
I
it for
do.
that. And I've come to love it actually when it's not, 100 degrees in the garage and I'm out
Yes.
there.
That's like hot spin
Yeah.
class.
It's like, it's like hot yoga or hot
Yeah,
spin class out
is.
there. But we
They
have a
have
huge,
that. You know, they have
I
that.
do, I know. And
It's like a sauna that you go and spin in, which
and
is
it's
insane.
Like it's totally insane. I mean, we have a industrial size fan that we keep out there, but when it's 100 degrees, like there's really nothing that can make that comfortable.
I won't even take Oscar for a walk then, and that's
It's not worth it.
that's my cardio is my walk.
Plus, it's just humid, So, but as far as like how motivation to exercise and routines have changed over my lifetime so far, it's been massive. Like swings of being highly motivated, being very not motivated, but then also having to like completely change how I work out in order to accommodate like the changes of my body and stuff. So. It's a kind of a constant for anybody out there who's like trying to figure out what works best for you. Keep trying stuff because it's kind of a constant, try new things, and you might come across something that is completely not what you thought was in your wheelhouse or that you even liked, but then you do it a little bit and you realize, you know what, I actually really like this. And then you have to like what you're doing, right?
For sure.
And it's never been easier to work out because of social media and all of these accounts that we have. And you could follow this yoga instructor, or you could follow this walking instructor. I mean, it's really sliced and diced. And
and for some things, you don't even need equipment. You just need yourself.
That's right.
Exactly.
You really, really do.
Yeah.
Yes. So I will just add on to just my routine. So I just started this because I heard this was an excellent way to really up your walks. And they have really discovered that walking is so good for you. I mean, as if we didn't know this, but we've kind of gone through you need to be running rather than walking, all that. But walking is really very good for you. But now they recommend to walk with an 8-pound vest.
Weights,
So I just
Andrew has that.
So I just recently bought a weighted vest, and so now when I take Oscar out for walks, and so I'm really looking to see how that's really going to kind of change the
We know
game
how
for
that
me.
goes.
I know why.
Well, Andrew has the vest, so I technically could do that. There's something about it that makes me a little nervous because I think about the walk that I take Asher on in the fall and winter. We go around, it's called the 5th Green, but it's basically this big circle and it's like a bunch of hills. And I thought about using the vest one time, but then I'm like, what if I get halfway through and then I'm like, I can't do this anymore. And then I've got the vest and Asher. I'm like, So I haven't been brave enough to try it yet.
Take baby steps and go on a walk without Asher,
short walks
with the
first.
vest, and just see how you feel.
True. Yeah, that's true. I'll do that.
Just do a shorter.
Or do a shorter walk.
Do a shorter walk.
Yeah.
I would just take little baby steps and just.
But I think you'd be surprised actually how, especially because vests are, because the way that you're carrying the weight on your body is so much more natural than like carrying a backpack or like carrying groceries or something. So you think about lifting 8 pounds and you're like, walking
so
around.
it's weighted on the back, it's weighted in the front, it's equally distributed, and so that's why
it feels
I wanted
it's a
to
lot
give it
more comfortable than what you might imagine.
You just pop it over and you strap it on. You really kind of don't even notice it, honestly.
Yeah,
you really don't.
I'll give it a go.
I would recommend that.
It cools down.
I might say, wait till it cools down a bit.
I'm not. Yeah. Wait until it cools down. For sure.
Well, we have 80s next week, so that's going to seem like a cool front.
It will actually
compared to what we had.
excited.
So Chelsea, you talked about breaking your arm at a younger age when you're 10 and you're in gymnastics. So that really kind of changed your trajectory into dance. But have there been any other health issues that made your mindset or your routine change?
So breaking the arm, obviously. And then I have an autoimmune condition too that only it doesn't change my mindset of exercise. But I think with this, I've learned that sometimes if I'm feeling tired or I genuinely feel like I need to rest, I allow myself to rest.
That's good.
And I don't,
you don't push yourself.
I don't push myself. And I find that a lot of women, even some that I teach at Pure Barre, you know, they'll come and they have like sinus issues or maybe even a little cold and they're like, oh, I need to sweat it out. And I think actually from my perspective and just even in articles that I've read, especially for women and your hormones and how women's hormones work and fluctuate, that is actually detrimental to someone's hormones when you are already not feeling well. And then you're putting your body in a stressful situation and then you're just out of whack. So just with the, you know, the autoimmune condition that I have, if I feel like I need to rest, then I take a rest day. And I just, you know, let that be a day that I'm like, okay. And maybe that's the day that I take, you know, Asher on a walk.
Right.
We do a walk instead of
very low impact.
Exactly. Yes. Instead of going and lifting 15-pound weights, which obviously you still need those days, but
you do, but we do have to listen to our bodies. And I think we went through this era where it was always like Jane Fonda's, you know, feel the burn. You have to power through. You have to, you have to make your body hurt. You don't necessarily need to do that to have a very effective workout. We also need to be thoughtful and listen to our bodies. Yeah. Sometimes if you need to rest and now the science is there to back it up, you need to rest. Yeah. That's what your body needs that day, not anything else. So we really do need to be much more mindful about listening to what our body is trying to tell us. So, and Kelly, you touched on too that you didn't have scoliosis, but you had.
Yeah, I have spondylolisthesis.
Spondylolisthesis. Let's say that 3 times.
It's a mouthful.
Oh my gosh.
It's a ridiculous term, which is why they refer to it simply as spondy.
Spondy, okay. Yeah. So you do have that. So you have found, I mean, and especially after you were running these 5Ks and loving it, you realized that your body just couldn't do that.
Yeah, it was a super bummer. I mean,
I bet. So did you take a break from working out for a while, or what? Did you immediately transition?
Not really. Yeah, not really.
Something else?
I transitioned. So like when I quit running was right when Alex and I moved in together, and we moved into an apartment in a complex that had a gym with equipment and things. So I would then I just transferred over to like walking on a treadmill.
Okay. And
it sucked. I didn't like it. I wanted to run, you know, I missed going to the races and having that good time and everything. But I'm glad I stopped when I did because I could have really, you know, hurt myself and still kind of deal with the, you know, repercussions of that. Like, cause I think I need to probably stretch more and do a lot more low back stuff than most people need to do. Just for
you should do Pilates.
Like, I mean,
you should.
I know, and I do a little bit of it, and I get like I've been doing yoga for like I don't know 25 years, and so I just kind of
yoga has some Pilates aspects to it.
It does. It has quite a bit actually, especially the doing the yoga on the Peloton app. There's a lot of integration between their yoga classes and their Pilates classes. So, you know, there is, and I've done enough. I've gone to Pilates enough, not the reformer machines necessarily, but enough to like be familiar with those exercises and stuff. But it's really all about core strengthening, and you can get that in other ways. But yeah, I think you know, just being able to sort of have the resources available to change things up as you need to is really helpful. And that's where I will say that I appreciate technology and all of the things that it's brought us as far as the multitude of, I keep hitting this microphone, but the multitude of, I used to do Alo Moves. That's another really great website for classes for yoga and things like that. But there's just so much out there that you can really customize things to fit how you need to be.
There is. Well, I will give a plug for the Peloton app. I mean, I like the Peloton bike. I bought mine. I mean, Mac was still alive when I bought it, so it was way before the pandemic. And as I said, I mean, I have loved spin classes. I used to teach spin years ago when I lived in Vietnam.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was super fit when we lived in Vietnam. I had a personal trainer.
You taught spin in Vietnam?
I did. Because I was very good friends with the owner of the.
I don't know why. I just can't imagine you teaching spin.
Really?
Yeah,
that's really good. Everybody liked my class. They liked my music, and they liked how I did it.
That's like a fun fact.
That's funny. You're thinking that It's funny that I taught, but yes, I was very good friends with the owner of the gym,
Okay.
Nicole, who actually got me into spin. And so I just fell in love with it. And one of the reasons why I like it, it's because it's very high energy and it does have to do with your music. That's why it's very important to like your instructor and their taste in music, because you probably won't
The
like
music makes the
really,
difference.
it makes a big difference. It really does. But
It
yes,
does.
so that's where that first came into my life. But it is, their app is great.
It really is.
And they have so many classes and they have so many instructors, and they have really turned that into powerhouse. I actually love that. And so I have added on weight training after my Pilates class. So I come home, I just do like 10 minutes or 15 minutes, just so I want upper body strength. So that I specifically do that in Peloton. It's great. And I'm like, oh, what class am I going to take today? And I scroll through, and it's great. But
I've taken one spin class in my life, and I actually,
you probably hated it.
I went to, I think it was Soul Cycle, or I don't know, whatever they have in Atlanta, fly site.
I don't know.
And, you get a free class. So, and I felt bad because I genuinely actually wanted to like it and come back and do more classes. But I felt like I was one of those people that was coming in, doing the free class, and then just like never coming back. I literally remember getting off of the bike. I couldn't figure out how to get the shoes off the bike. And so I just took my feet out of the shoes and left them in the bike. And then I walked out of the class, and the instructor was like trying to talk to me. And I literally looked at the instructor. I said, I'm just going to stop you right there. I was like, I will never be back.
Never be back.
I was like, it has nothing to do with you. I was like, it's all me.
Will I be back to this class?
Oh, I took one.
You just didn't have the right instructor or music. That's why.
No, I don't like cardio. I've never been into running, spin. I'll do Empower. Like I said, Pure Barre has a cardio class called Empower. However, I will say, if I do show up to an Empower class, it's probably because I didn't check the schedule and I just happened to want that time.
Right.
No, I mean, I will say though that like I hate cardio too. I really, really do. But I loved running because that runner's high is a true thing.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. I will agree. And that's why I guess I do like spin. Of all the cardio that I've ever done, that's been my favorite.
Yeah.
Was spin. But
you get that.
You get those endorphins. You are, and you really have a great workout. You do.
Yeah.
So, okay, well, we've touched on exercise a little bit. So let's veer off and talk about eating, because this is really where I missed the boat for years. And I don't think I'm the only one, with my generation anyway, because we were fed such a lie for so long that a calorie in was a calorie out. So, hey, didn't make any difference if it was a potato chip calorie or a broccoli calorie, because it was all the same. And what really just makes me very, very angry is we were told that we could work off a bad diet. You could really just kind of eat, whatever you wanted to, and then you just hit the gym that much harder. So you can just work it off because, there again, calorie is a calorie. So if we're expending X amount of calories, and that's going to offset your calorie intake. And two big lies. And I was really glad that I finally was taught something else. And I do like the era that we're in right now, with all the information that's readily available and all of the scientific discoveries that are coming along too. We know so much more about our body than we did even 10 years ago, let alone 20, 30 years ago. But
For sure.
But I have really changed not that I'm a great, I'm not a purist. I've said this many times. I could either weigh 200 pounds or I could be like totally, complete fitness fanatic. I could go easily in either direction. So I really just try to toe the line and just be kind of thoughtful, especially as I'm aging. But diet is so important. And I've done my best to really clean up my diet. There's no processed food. There's no hamburger helpers anymore. There's no TV dinners. All the things I grew up on. Actually, and fed the boys too. No toaster strudel. No, any of that, no Frosted Flakes, none of that.
My entire high school career, I ate for breakfast a chocolate chip waffle with peanut butter on top.
I love those.
2 of them every morning.
We love them.
Breakfast.
We always had Eggo waffles in the fridge. Always.
Yum.
And pastries. But anyway, I've done my best to really monitor my sugar, to really be thoughtful about how I'm fueling this body, because that's the fuel that makes this, the engine go, this body go. So as I said, I'm not a purist. I really try to do like 80%. So 80% of the time I'm doing the right things, and 20% because I am going to have a cocktail. I am going to have chips. I will have a Diet Coke every now and then. I don't like, nothing is totally off the plate,
Right.
but I just try to be more thoughtful
Moderation.
about it. But anyway, let's take a look at what a typical day of eating looks like. And Kelly, we'll kick it off with you. So what do you like to eat in a day?
Well, my eating habits they're still a little bit haywire, I think, because so for 2 years ago, I ran a cooking blog, and so I was cooking every single day. And because of taking pictures of those dishes, I would always cook, midday. And so Alex and I would have our main meal after I finished cooking that. And so it would be like maybe around 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And then we might have a snack later on in the day. But since I stopped doing that, it's actually a little bit of a struggle to get back on the routine of cooking dinner every night. So, gosh, I might cook dinner for the both of us once or twice a week at the most. But really it's been kind of hard to get back on that track. So I'm still trying to figure that out. But in the meanwhile, I still have kind of kept the first meal of the day being a little bit later in the day because I did do the faster way to fat loss a number of years ago. And one of the things that I took away from that I've incorporated in my life since then is the intermittent fasting. So that's really stuck with me because I actually just feel like I am a morning person in so far as I'm most productive in the morning. And I feel like the intermittent fasting really works well with that.
Right.
So
for those of you not familiar with intermittent fasting, which I think everybody is nowadays, it was kind of groundbreaking like 10 years ago, but that's just where you have an 8-hour window where you eat everything, or you eat all of your meals within that 8-hour time frame. And then for 16 hours, you don't eat anything at all. So you may not have your first meal until like noon.
Usually noon or 1. Somewhere around there.
Okay.
If we have dinner plans, I might shift that a little bit later if our dinner reservation is, 7 o'clock or something like that. Because with that 8-hour eating window, you can shift it however you need to.
Right.
It just is important that you're not eating past a certain time from when you started eating.
Your body needs that time to rest between meals.
And I'm not super vigorous about like maintaining that, but it just has kind of worked into my natural rhythm. So that's why I feel like it works really well. But typically still I'll have one kind of larger meal a day, and then the rest is smaller portions of, it might be like a pita with hummus on it or, something like that, but it's something smaller that's not like a full-on meal. So that's kind of what I stick to. That's not super specific, I realize, but you kind of get the gist, right? Like you have one meal and then snack.
Okay. Chelsea, how about you? Chelsea likes to eat all day long.
Well, it's kind of
she's listening to me with intermittent fasting and her eyes are, she's like, you haven't eaten by 9 a.m.? Like, how are you even alive right now?
I am very thin, but I have a really fast metabolism. And so I do eat quite a bit. I actually probably do the opposite of intermittent fasting because I always make sure that I eat or at least try to before I have my first cup of coffee. So I like to do that because I have read that it will throw off your blood sugar and it can do things in regards to that. And so, which ultimately then throws off your hormones, especially if you're female. And since I already have issues, in that department and with my autoimmune condition, I'm like, I don't need to be thrown off anymore.
Right.
So I typically will try, whether it be, a yogurt or even if it's just half a bagel with cream cheese or whatever I can stomach, maybe even like a soft boiled egg, I'll do that in the morning. So I always eat breakfast and then I'll have my coffee. Then there's snacks in between breakfast and lunch.
Second breakfast.
The second breakfast. Which
could easily be a habit, Chelsea.
Which normally happens around 11. And then there's lunch that happens around like probably 1 or 1:30. And then there's more snacks. And then there's dinner. And then there's way more snacks after dinner.
So what would you consider a snack though? What is a typical snack for you?
I mean, it depends on what we have in the house. I try to be healthy. If you asked my husband, Andrew, he would be like, you are the least healthiest person ever. I do try to be mindful and I go in.
He does like condiments.
I love,
on the side.
love condiments. On the side, I'm literally Sally from when you met Sally.
But
yeah, I mean, I eat all day basically, and I am trying to be better about eating healthier foods. I used to eat Chick-fil-A a lot, and you guys will be shocked to hear this, but in the past month, I've only had Chick-fil-A one time.
What?
Yeah.
What's going on?
Probably had Chipotle a lot more.
Chipotle?
I was gonna say you're just
switched.
switching one for,
You just switched.
for the other.
But I'm trying, and I'm not a very good cook. I've tried, I will cook. I guess I could become better. I don't think it's a lack of.
For Christmas, I'm going to get your cookbook.
You got us a cook. I haven't even opened the last cookbook.
I know, but
it's not, I promise you it won't.
Motivation question.
It's, yeah, I mean,
resource question.
it's definitely a motivation.
I think that was a white elephant gift that you got with the cookbook.
Yeah.
That was a white elephant. So it wasn't specifically for you, so I could get like an easy one. But anyway,
I'm trying to be better. And so if we do this podcast episode, in 6 months from now, ask me and I'll tell you that I'm eating really healthy.
Well, I think one of the things that you and Andrew do that a lot of people have probably heard about and maybe do themselves is meal prepping, right?
That's true. Andrew, and this is more Andrew does this than I do, but he will prep all of our meat for the week. So whether it's chicken or salmon,
your protein,
shrimp, so all the protein, which is really nice actually, because as far as cooking goes, that's probably the one thing that I struggle with is cooking meat. And so he does all of that and he'll do it on the grill. And then that way I'm able to take that. And when I do make my lunch, if it's like a salad or maybe I make a bowl with rice and then I just add all of the ingredients in.
Yeah, which is a really great
really
way
nice.
to like.
It is because that people will say that is really your road to success, especially if you want to lose weight. It's planning your meals because it's when when you finally come to a meal and maybe you're tired, maybe your day hasn't gone well, and so you're just going to eat like the first thing.
You're going to reach for the comfort foods or the easy
chips.
But if it's already done, if it's already in the fridge, you're set up for success. So I've heard really good things about that with meal prepping.
It is good. I've definitely done that when I worked in corporate world. I had to pack my lunch. Meal prep was an easy way to do that. So it's really beneficial, I think, for a lot of whether you're doing it for dinner or you're doing it because you work out of the home and you take your lunch. Like, it's a really, really easy way to stay on track with your diet.
I do find it hard, and so I'll ask both of you. You cook for two, and you cook for two, and I cook for one. I think it's really hard to cook for one.
Yeah.
And I think it's just as hard almost to cook for two, but at least there's two of you consuming that meal.
Yeah.
But cooking for one, I will tell you that has been my biggest challenge since losing Mac and trying to be staying healthy and just me, and then so what does that look like? And
well, that's where so I was single for a number of years after coming out of a relationship, and that's where I actually found meal prep. That's where I got turned on to meal prep, and that's where I found like meal prep really helped cooking for one.
I need to look into that then.
It's actually just I think it makes it a lot easier for all the reasons that we just outlined, but also when you are cooking for one, you've got the perfect. You can portion things out for one person rather than for two.
Right.
And you're not like cooking a meal that could be eaten by two people, but it's just being eaten by you. But if you're meal prepping, then you really, it's like an assembly line. You're basically, each aspect of your meal. And you can also just basically start with the proteins and let everything else catch can as you go through the week. But as long as you've got that protein portion done, then I found it really helpful cooking for one to do.
I found so actually when I was single, I got really into, there is an influencer that I follow, and her handle is Brock Your Body. And, she just puts together, it's all food recipes and, most of them for the most part are pretty easy to follow.
Except for one? She cooks for one?
She was. So now she's getting married now and she's engaged, but yeah. So she did live by herself and she would cook for one and I'd follow a lot of her recipes. And I actually cooked more then than I do now, which is hilarious.
Oh, really?
I don't know why. And I mean, I would go, I remember when I lived by myself in Smyrna, I would go to the grocery store and I'd get all the ingredients that I needed. And she even had really good baking recipes where they were healthy, like pumpkin breads, where it was gluten-free. And I would do that. And I mean, they would turn out really well. So I need to get back.
There's something about being in a relationship or having a partner where going out feels a lot more easy. Like
that's true.
I think when you're alone, you don't necessarily always want to go out to eat by yourself.
Yeah.
I always
so cooking
think
then becomes, I
always think
default. Yeah.
Like, oh, tonight I'm going to go out and I'm going to, go to this restaurant and I'm going to go sit at the bar and I'm going to do all the things. And then 6 o'clock rolls around and I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. So it's only me, so I can talk myself out of anything very easily.
Right.
Especially if it's like, oh, I see what's on TV. And then, so I always think I'm going to do that, but then I don't.
Yeah.
But I really do need to do that a little bit more. And I think also I'm going to take a look at meal prepping for one and that influencer too.
Check her out because
I will.
I liked
her body.
I liked her because her recipes were super easy to follow. And again, I don't claim to be a cook. I'm not great at it, but they were easy enough to follow that I didn't feel like I had to follow it verbatim, which was nice.
Yeah.
And B, she laid it out very nicely. And it wasn't like you needed a million ingredients because sometimes I look at a recipe and I'm like,
if it gets too complicated,
if I have to buy like 5 different spices that I don't already have, I'm like, okay,
it's over.
I'm like, now this meal that I could literally get for $15 has turned into a $50 meal.
Right.
Right. So,
well, and I also think too, it's better to keep it simple, especially on a health journey. If you are, and like you said, you just take a look at a recipe and it has way too many steps or way too many ingredients. I just think that simple is better.
Yeah.
So you did touch on an influencer, Rock Your Body, and I told him I'm going to go check that out. So are there any other fitness or health influencers that you follow, or what's really influenced your life or your health journey, would you say?
I have another one. I don't know if you do.
I don't actually.
Organic Olivia.
Organic Olivia.
So if you are in the market, she supplements and like tinctures she does. So if you're in the market for a good probiotic, hers is the best.
Okay.
I've tried a lot of them and she has a really good probiotic and just a lot of different supplements that I think especially for women are very helpful. She's got tinctures for just hair growth, but also for female health. And I think she has one that I got. It's like a PMS tincture that's supposed to help, in regards to anything with that. And so I found her very helpful. And she also has an account where she has a podcast too.
Okay.
And she talks about how to use them and how to use the supplements, how she puts them together and then what they're for.
Well, I'm glad you touched on supplements because I did briefly want to touch on that, especially as women, especially as we age. And you will find as your body goes through different phases. So perimenopause, or first you're in your childbearing years, and perimenopause, menopause, and then postmenopause, and your body really goes through changes. And so you take your skin is coming along with you for the ride, your hair is coming along with you on the ride, and so many things change, but supplements can truly have an impact on that. And there again, with all of our scientific breakthroughs, it's really great to see. And I listen to podcasts, but they're mostly men out there. So I need to tune in to see if I can find more women podcasts about this. So that really, so they'll bring the experts on, they'll bring the menopause doctor on, or they'll bring the fitness guru on.
I've learned a lot from her in regards to, because she really follows Chinese medicine almost. And there's like this theory that, well, it's not really a theory, but it's in Chinese medicine, as far as like hair growth and hair loss, it's a lot to do with your blood. And so how your blood production is, and how basically your body's able to cleanse that. And then that helps your hair to be able to grow fuller and thicker. And so in her tincture that she has, it's specifically for blood health. And I feel like when you look at a lot of different supplements for hair growth, or, sometimes it's not necessarily pertaining to that. So I find like her science behind it and the reasoning is very interesting, because she does veer more towards like Chinese medicine and how they see things.
And I do like how they break it down. That's why I do turn to these podcasts. And Andrew Huberman, he's a really big podcaster and does take deep dives into health and wellness. And so but sometimes, I mean, they're like 3-hour podcasts. And I'm like, dear Lord, just give me the good stuff. Just take me to what I really tuned in for.
Yeah.
But there again, I love this about where we are as far as social media, podcasts, the information that we're able to glean from the internet, because we truly can find something that's going to work for us. So whether that's our exercise routine or our nutrition, our meal planning, all that kind of stuff. So I am going to check out those influencers out there. So there's never been a better time.
Yeah.
And I will just, there again, I'm really preaching to the choir, because you both have pretty good routines in place. I'm so blessed. And if you ever fall off the wagon, I'm going to come along and kick you back on, because it's so important. And as I said in the opener, it's never too late to start. And I love that. However, the earlier you start, the more you set yourself up for success, and you have these great habits in place, but then your body is also, it's just perking along at an optimal rate. Yeah. So the sooner that you get on this fitness bandwagon, the better. And it really does matter what you eat. And exercise is also very important. They work in tandem. So, but I think we're all in agreement that it really makes us better people, better women. And I will say that, health, especially as you age, we all know it's so precious. It can be taken from you at any time. So I want to set myself up for success each and every day. So that's why I make the choices that I do. So
for sure.
Plus, I don't want to be a burden. I don't want to, have you guys, oh gosh, we have to go take care of Beth. She can't get out of bed, that kind of a thing. That does happen.
Yeah,
right?
It does.
It does. It really, really does. Okay, ladies. Well, we're going to take a quick break, and we will be back with my favorite segment, which is New and Noteworthy. And we're back. And as I said, this is my favorite segment. So this is where we're females. We love to share. We love to, maybe it's a book we've read, or maybe it's a product. So definitely my favorite segment. So Kelly, I'm going to kick it off with you first this week. So what do you have for us? Is it new or noteworthy? Or maybe it's both?
It's kind of both, I guess. It's probably new to some people. It's not new to me, because I've been doing this for like 6 years. But so we...
Oh, there we go. Here's Ollie. Here's my Maine Coon cat. She's going to crash our party.
Yes,
she's a female. She wants to know too.
Ollie, you don't care, do you? So about 6 years ago, I got turned on to a supplement called Greens First. It's a powder that you mix into water.
I see you drink this all the time.
I do, every single day. And I've been drinking it basically every single day for 6 years. And it's a very like low stakes kind of supplement. Like nothing bad is going to happen to you probably if you drink this. It's a Greens First. So it's just, it's like 45 different fruits and vegetables. actually, I think it's more than that goes into it, but like each scoop equates to like 45 servings of fruits and vegetables or something like this. So it's like
that packs a punch.
It's a super super punchy green drink. It actually tastes really great. It just is minty. It doesn't have any weird.
That's what I was always wondering. Actually, I'm gonna finally pull the trigger because I've watched you drink this for years.
Yeah, it's been years.
So it does taste good.
Yeah, it just tastes like mint.
Okay.
It doesn't have any kind of weird algae or green taste to it in any kind of way. It doesn't taste like spinach or anything weird. But yeah, it's a really low stakes way for me every day to feel like I'm getting, your greens, vitamins and nutrients that I would be getting from the greens that I might not have in every meal of the day. Because as I mentioned in the podcast, like I don't eat 3 big meals a day. Right. So I need to supplement that with something like this. So, it's not super cheap, but one container of it lasts like a month. And I just do 1 scoop a day in cold water, and it tastes great. And I will say though that it's what I drink first thing in the morning, before coffee or anything like that. Okay. So I actually feel it it's energizing and not in a creepy kind of way. Like you don't feel jacked up on anything. You just feel like awake and going about your day, starting off on the right foot.
Well, and plus you're getting,
like about it.
You combine it with water, right? You put it in your water.
Yeah.
Because I recently heard a recommendation that you need to drink 2 glasses of water before you drink your coffee.
Yeah.
Which I don't do. And I'm like, I'm going to do that now. Yeah. So I'm going to get the greens and I'm going to do that. And so.
Yeah. I mean, I love starting my day with it. Like it just, yeah. So.
Cool. All right, Chelsea, what do you have for us this week?
Well, mine's kind of switching gears, so it doesn't have to do with health.
So nothing to do with health or wellness.
I probably could pick a health one, but so Severance, it's on Apple TV, and I guess this isn't necessarily new because I watched it back when it first came out on Apple TV, but the season 2 is supposed to release in January of 2025.
Oh, so it's coming up.
So it's coming up.
Watch the first season
faster than we know.
So if you haven't watched the first season, but basically the gist of it is the main character leads a team of office workers whose memories have been surgically divided between their work and their personal lives. So it kind of goes through the story of that. And I will say it was a very slow show. So if you are watching it, give it until the end. The last episode is actually mind-blowing because Andrew actually thought, he's like, oh my gosh, this show is so slow. And I actually enjoyed it, for the most part the whole time. But the very last episode, even Andrew was like, what? He was like, they're leaving us hanging on this. And then the writer strike happened, and now
messed everything up.
We've been waiting forever. So I'm really excited about the season 2.
Okay. So Severance. I watched season 1. I like, who's that actor? What's his name? I really like him.
What is his name in
either. He was in Parks and Recreation.
Yes. I can't think of his name.
Parks and Recreation. He was adorable in that. Yeah. So
well, I haven't watched this, so I'll have to give it a go.
You haven't?
Yeah. I think you would like it.
I've been hesitant to watch it just because I feel like it's one of those shows that might hit a little bit too close to home. So like it took us years to watch Silicon Valley together because it just was too close to home. So I'm sure I will appreciate this show and I'm sure I'll like it. But I haven't tried it yet.
I think you'll like it. So being the TV buff that you are, I think you for sure would love it.
I owe it to myself to watch it.
And if you waited until like December to watch it, then you could have the season 2 fast.
The cliffhanger.
I know.
Because the cliffhanger is
fast on its heels.
Yeah.
That would be my recommendation. So,
okay.
Well, this week I actually have a product. So since we were talking about health and wellness and fitness and all of that. So I'm always introduced to new skincare products. I love to try new skincare products, and we're making there again, just like our body, we're making so many breakthroughs. It's really cool to see. So there's a one company, they're called Necessaire, and they've really branched out. So I originally tried their products for your body. So it's body lotions, but they have, so just like for the products that you use for your face, they're using those same products like hyaluronic acid or niacinamides or, whatever it is. And they're translating it into body lotions. So I tried their body lotions first. absolutely fell in love with them. And now they've branched out into hair care. So I've tried their shampoo and conditioner. Love that. They recently just introduced a vitamin C body lotion that I really like. But my all-time favorite is their body serum that has hyaluronic acid, the niacinamide, the ceramides. And if you want to have your body look as great as your skin, saying that you actually like skincare products, I'm telling you, it's a little bit pricey, but it's totally worth it.
Yeah.
Love their body serum. And it goes on very light. It's a light application. They also have a moisturizer too, but I like the body serum because it is so light, so you can wear it all year round.
Okay.
Or sometimes in the summertime, if it's too heavy of a body lotion, I just don't like to use
Does
it.
the serum absorb well? So like if you go get dressed 10 or 15 minutes later, it's not going to make your clothes greasy?
No, it doesn't at all.
That's good.
At all. So those of you watching on YouTube, I'll have the link down below. Actually, we share all of the links down below in every episode of what we talk about. If we talk about a foundational piece, we didn't really refer to one so much this week because it was more of our personal health journey and fitness and all of that. But anyway, okay. Well, I think we have wrapped up another episode of Message from Mom, where we're busting the myth that mothers-in-law aren't necessarily monsters-in-law.